going, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddison Hill, and yes, it's time for another Pop Off with Maddison. For today's Pop Off, I'm talking about Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik because, you guys, there have been some major updates that we need to discuss. So first of all, Zayn Malik has made his return to social media. This is his first Instagram post since news broke of him and Yolanda Hadid's alleged physical altercation. In addition to that, we also have this new report from the UK outlet The Sun, where a source shared that Zayn Malik's family is actually wanting him to come home, which I imagine he doesn't want to do because then he would be far away from his daughter, and that could possibly cause some complications when it comes to a custody discussion or a co-parenting discussion, but we'll get into all of that. On top of that, we also have this new report from Entertainment Tonight that honestly has a lot of interesting details. This report talks about Gigi and Yolanda Hadid wanting to move on from all of this, and also shares some interesting details in regards to that alleged altercation. Some details that, of course, are pro Yolanda and some that are pro Zayn. So yeah, it's a lot, and I know your guys' time on a Friday is precious because you are about to get into the weekend. So let's not waste any more time and get straight to unwrapping these Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik facts. All right, so first of all, let me start with a little background information for those of you who don't totally know what's going on, or for those of you who just need a little refresher. So recently it came to light that Zayn Malik had an alleged physical altercation with Gigi Hadid's mom, Yolanda, at the end of September. Again, we just found out about this alleged altercation a few weeks back. It's also worth noting that during this alleged altercation between Zayn and Yolanda, Gigi Hadid was not present. She was actually in Paris for Paris Fashion Week and did end up flying home early when she got word of what happened. Now, according to court documents, Yolanda Hadid has made some serious claims against Zayn Malik. She claims that Zayn shoved her into a dresser, used expletives, and called her names that I'm not going to repeat. Zayn Malik has continuously denied accusations that he ever got physical with Yolanda, and sources have spoken out on his behalf to TMZ, saying that Yolanda actually barged into the place that he was sharing with Gigi, where they were raising their daughter, and that Yolanda constantly had tension with Zayn. Because of this alleged altercation, 4 counts of harassment were filed against Zayn Malik, and he pled no contest. Because of this, he is currently serving 90 days probation for each count, so that's 360 days total, and he also has to complete an anger management and domestic violence class. Also, the last piece of background information that you need to know is that Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik have in fact broken up. They've decided to go their separate ways, and last we heard they were working on a co-parenting plan together. A source told E! News that things were tense while they were discussing this plan, but still the key here is that they were talking and at least coming up with a plan, which I personally think is good news. I would rather hear that than one side fighting for sole custody. Okay, now that brings us to the new information we have, and in this new report from Entertainment Tonight, we've learned that Gigi Hadid and Yolanda Hadid are hoping that they can put this whole situation behind them. As this ET source said, quote, Yolanda is upset that her situation with Zayn came to light, as is Zayn. Gigi and Yolanda are fine and never had an issue over the incident. The source continued on saying, quote, at the end of the day, Zayn will be in the family's lives forever, and everyone hopes one day they can all move on. Now, in addition to that information, we also learned some new details about this alleged altercation. ET has one source saying that Yolanda was supposed to be watching her granddaughter while Gigi was out of town, and that's why she went into the home. In fact, this source explicitly said, quote, Gigi asked her mother to watch her daughter while she was working in Paris, and that's what Yolanda did. And then a second source that's clearly from Zayn's side is quoted in this ET article as well, saying, quote, Zayn's mother was in town from the UK for a special visit, and she was at Gigi and Zayn's apartment watching Kai and helping. Now, for me personally, I don't know about any of you, but this is the first time that I've heard that Zayn's mother was present at this time, which honestly now makes so much more sense as to why we have this new report from The Sun, where a source shared that Zayn's family is wanting him to come home. In this new report from The Sun, a source said, quote, Zayn is having a hard time right now, and his family just wants him to return home to Bradford. For Zayn's mom, she's having to watch her son struggle thousands of miles away, and it's really difficult for her. A mother's instinct is to protect her child, and that is all she wants for Zayn. This insider then continued on saying, quote, they're hopeful he will be able to come home at some point so they can spend time with him. I will say it does appear as though Zayn is doing his best to try to move on and keep going business as usual. I mean, he did make his public return to Instagram yesterday. He posted this photo of himself, and in the caption you can see he was promoting a sunglasses collab. And while yes, I know this was likely a scheduled post and something that he had to put up because he's contractually obligated to, but still, I feel like it's a good sign to see Zayn working in some capacity. All right, you guys, I obviously have a lot of thoughts about this, and because we are still talking about a serious topic, I mean, this altercation that went down, allegedly went down between Zayn and Yolanda, is some really serious and heavy stuff, so I don't feel like it's appropriate to pop some bottles. I don't feel like it's appropriate to pop some champagne. So instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hydrate and send some positive vibes vibes to everyone involved in this situation because, whew, it's gonna be a long road ahead. All right, so right off the bat, the first thing I have to say that really annoyed me in this Entertainment Tonight article is the fact that this source said that Yolanda Hadid is upset that this information got out there. Because I truly do believe that Yolanda Hadid, or at the very least, somebody from Yolanda's team, they are the ones who leaked this information to the press. I mean, this family was able to keep this thing quiet for over a month. And then out of nowhere, this story comes out. And you guys know I've been a little suspicious from the beginning because I have just never understood what actually caused the altercation. We've heard details around the altercation. We've heard that there were tensions building before the altercation, but we haven't explicitly heard what exactly caused it to go down. Yes, these Entertainment Tonight sources did attempt to shed a little more new information. For example, like I said, I personally didn't know that Zayn's mother was allegedly present. I also didn't know that Yolanda was the one who was supposed to be watching Gigi's baby. Of course, it's two different stories, two different sides, but still, I feel like we haven't explicitly heard what caused the altercation, and because of that, I feel like whoever leaked the story has something to hide, and just for some reason my gut is saying that it might be Yolanda. I know Zayn kind of alluded to that in one of his statements. I don't know, I just really didn't like how that ET source said that Yolanda's upset this news got out there because for some reason, I don't know, I just can't kick the feeling in my gut that her or her team is behind the leak. Now, having said that though, I do want to make it clear that I do not condone violence against anyone. I obviously do not condone Zayn Malik pushing Yolanda Hadid into a dresser. If that's true, of course we don't know. Zayn has continuously denied it. Yolanda says it happened. He says it didn't. I just want to make it clear that if it did happen, I obviously do not condone that. And I think that there does need to be consequences for that behavior, which Zayn is absolutely dealing with those consequences. Like I said, he's on probation. He has to take those classes. But I also think it's possible that we can say, well, yes, we don't condone what Zayn allegedly did to Yolanda, but we can also try to understand where Zayn Malik was coming from and what put him in that headspace to react that way. Because I don't believe he reacted that way just one time randomly. I really do believe that there was a lot of buildup happening and then things just exploded one night. I just feel like we're always going to get two different sides of this story. On Zayn's side, we're always going to hear about how Yolanda constantly pushed him, constantly got in the way of him and Gigi, all of those things. And on Yolanda's side, of course, we're going to hear that she was supposed to be watching the baby. She thought the baby needed her, yada, yada, yada. We're probably never actually going to get the truth. In fact, in a lot of these situations, I like to say that the truth always lives in the middle, which I'm sure that's probably also true for this situation. But regardless of all of that, I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that I do hope at some point everyone can move on from the situation. Now, I do think it's going to be a little harder for Zayn Malik because of the criminal charges and because he's been put on probation. I mean, that is a massive, massive deal. So I think it's going to be a little harder for him to move on. But at the end of the day, this source is right. Zayn will always be a part of Gigi and Yolanda's life, just like they will always be a part of his. And I just hope for their daughter's sake that they can at some point all be cordial with one another in the future. And on top of that, I actually agree with Zayn's family and what that report from The Sun had to say. I do think it would be good for Zayn to go home for a little bit. Obviously not a super long period of time because like I said, I think that could affect his co-parenting plan with Gigi, which who knows if it ever got ugly. I hope it doesn't, could affect custody. So I don't think he should go home for a long period of time. Also, travel right now with COVID is very difficult, but I don't know. I do think it would probably be good and refreshing for him to just spend some time at home around his family. I know for me, whenever things just feel like they are getting a little too heavy, a little too much, going back to Kansas City is always so helpful in those situations just to get a little refresher, a little cleanse, if you will. So I do think Zayn Malik at some point should go home and spend some time with his family and just kind of regroup. I think that is healthy for people. Also, he is on probation right now, so we can't forget that. I don't know. I just hope at some point he can get in some much needed family time. The last thing I'm going to say is that I was happy to see Zayn Malik back on social media. I feel like it's good to see him working again. I feel like that's a positive sign. That's a positive step in the right direction. And hopefully sometime soon, him and Gigi Hadid can really get on the same co-parenting page, really at least get back to being friendly for their daughter. And maybe eventually Zayn will be okay with Yolanda. Like I said, I do think it's going to take a little bit. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as much as it did annoy me a little bit for that source to say Yolanda and Gigi just want everyone to move on, I really hope they can because I think that's what would be best for their daughter. And ultimately, she's the most important in the situation. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you in regards to Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik and the the latest on that situation. I want to hear all of your thoughts and feels down below. While you guys are at it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget that notification bell. For more content, make sure you follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. And of course, don't forget to keep coming back to my channel to check out my YouTube shorts. You guys can also find all of my merch at my merch store at houseofhill.com. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!